Hello Aries, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements, looking at your connection between you and the person that you are dealing with and are needing to learn the most from right now. We'll be pulling for all three sides of the connection, so we're going to look at your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it, the concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we'll be looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section is looking at what is the deeper purpose of this connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. On that note, the whole reading can be reversed. If that is the case for you, just know that's totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point is to take what helps and leave what does not. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. All right, Aries, let's jump on in. We're going to start with looking at overall energy for the connection with oracle cards, and then we're going to dive into tarot a little bit later in the reading to get a little bit deeper. So we're going to start, Aries, with your energy toward the person you are dealing with and are needing to learn the most from right now. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This is for Aries side of this connection, please. Sparks. Healing. And mirroring. Ooh, okay. Okay, this person, okay, the best way that I can put this is like they spark something in you, but both good and bad. I feel like they have this tendency to bring out like the good in you, maybe the side of you that is loving and caring and compassionate, but then I feel like they also kind of trigger the worst in you too. Not that that's something you should be ashamed of, because we all have a shadow side, we all have things that we're not necessarily proud of, but it feels like this person brings out both of those things in you. And I feel like it's pushing you into a lot of healing and a lot of self-reflection with the mirroring card. And I feel like the purpose of this connection is that healing. And I think that there's probably a contrast here. Like there's a lot of good, but just as much or like just as intense bads. It's like things can feel really good and really intense and really passionate, and then things can feel really horrible, and there's a lot of sadness and grief and heartbreak. And I feel like those like intense, ups and downs and highs and lows are pushing you into, with this healing card here, into some healing. So I feel like we've got some things to unpack here, but let's look at what this person is dealing with. This person's energy toward Aries. Try to see if I can pick up on anything before I pull a card. I feel like it's kind of similar to your energy. Definitely feel that hot and cold. Redacted. So they hold back a lot. I feel like they're not always so forthcoming about like how they feel and what they're thinking. And I feel like you're really left to read between the lines of how they feel. But then, dream come true with romance here. I feel like they have strong feelings for you and for this connection, but I feel like you wouldn't know how strong based on how they show up, especially with this redacted card. It feels like they, like I said, they kind of hide a lot. Maybe it's fear of vulnerability, fear of, being emotional, fear of letting people in. I'm not quite sure, but I definitely feel like they hold back a lot. And it's interesting because I feel like they're the up and down in this connection is coming from their energy in a way. Now, I'm not saying like it's 100% them, But I feel like the ups and downs that I was feeling for you is more of like a reaction, and this feels more of like a source. So I'm intrigued. I want to know what's going on. Okay, truth of this connection between Aries and this person. It's a very, like, I mean, and I know Aries energy can kind of have this, like, explosive nature to it. Not, like, explosive as in, like, angry. I think you guys get a bad rep in that sense. But I more mean just, like, an intense kind of energy here. And I feel like this it's really coming through in this connection, like, how explosive it really is. And again, both in a good way and in a not so good way. Truth of the connection between Aries and this person. Romance, synchronicity, euphoria. What about that? My goodness. Okay, and then passion. Oh my God. Passion, romance, euphoria, and then unfinished business here. I mean, this connection can feel really good. And I feel like those really strong, really intense highs are where you're wanting more of the good that I feel like is you're experiencing in this connection. Because my goodness, this is intense here. You have communication. I feel like, okay, especially with the synchronicity card, the synchronicity to me really, like this specific card, especially with the 4-4, really speaks of like divine guidance or like guidance from the universe, kind of has a spiritual nature to it. And so I feel like there is kind of a spiritual purpose to this connection in a sense. Because there's some intense energies here. Like I keep intense, explosive, like those are the words that keep coming to mind. So I don't necessarily know what like the purpose is, but like specifically, but it does feel like there is a like a spiritual purpose here, spiritual connection, spiritual purpose of some sort. So let's see what this overall theme is for you and this person. Whoa. Overall theme of this connection between Aries and this person. What does Aries need to know in order to move forward in alignment with their higher self? Huh. Like I said, I'm intrigued. I'm curious here, Aries. I feel like you guys trigger each other a lot. What is that one? Some people never change. Karmic. So there's something karmic going on here. I don't know what this one was. Let's get. You still miss me. Okay. How do I put that into words? I feel like there is a karmic nature to this connection in terms of whatever the spiritual lessons associated are. Like, you know, karmic connection, or I guess karmic lessons, karmic cycles, it doesn't always need to be a karmic connection, come into our life to help us heal, grow, and evolve. But there's some of the most painful experiences that we have. Karmic connections, karmic lessons are teachers. And it's not a punishment. Like, I think a lot of times it can feel like that. It's more of an opportunity for you to create better in your life. And I feel like there's something very karmic here between you and this person where there's a lot of things that are really unspoken. And I don't necessarily mean in terms of you guys aren't talking or not communicating and you don't know how the other feels. First of all, we obviously saw with the redacted card that this person is holding back a lot. But I kind of feel like you are too, in a sense. And maybe because they are, right? But I feel like there's a lot that's unspoken, which is leading both people to really read between the lines. And, the first way that we tend to view any situation is going to be through the lens of like our insecurity and our self-doubt and our fear. So when we're reading in between lines, when there's not emotional security and vulnerability and communication, it can be really triggering, and we do take a lot of things personally. Now, it feels to me like you're desiring either more from this person or more like consistency from this person. Because again, the highs and lows are so intense. And that is like, that kind of emotional roller coaster is going to take a toll on anyone. And I feel like you're wanting things to be a little bit more stable here. But I feel like that feels very out of your control. So there's so much to this reading, because it's like, there are desires that you have, there are desires that this person has, that are kind of hidden from the other person. There's a karmic aspect to it when it comes to some sort of lesson that's needing to be learned. There's a desire for this person to change. Like, there's so many things that I feel like are leading to this feeling so incredibly explosive. So I don't know. I feel like we've got a lot to dive into here, Aries. So bear with me, because again, that was just overall energy. So let's look at Aries, this person's energy toward you. You have sparks with mirroring. Aries energy toward the person they're dealing with, they're needing to learn the most from right now. Two of Cups, King of Cups in reverse. So there's a lot of love here. And I feel like that is just very obvious. Like, there's a lot of love and a lot of care that you, oh my goodness, why are all of these freaking cards in reverse? A lot of love, and there is a Ten of Swords is upright. A lot of love and a lot of care that you have for this person. This might actually be, yeah, that is upright, the King of Cups. Okay, Two of Cups, King of Cups, Six of Swords in reverse, Nine of Swords in reverse, and then the Ten of Swords upright. And I feel like you're, like, so you could be dealing with a water sign. So Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio. You definitely don't have to be. But you could be. Because I also see this as kind of a reflection of your energy here. There's, I feel like there's some emotional intelligence here. It's a very caring, very compassionate energy. And I feel like you give a lot of that out very freely, wanting to be as kind, loving, and compassionate as you can. Now, I'm not saying you've been perfect, okay? We've all made mistakes. So, I'm not saying that, but I do feel like on the flip side, with the Six of Pentacles in reverse, there is a lack of getting the same energy back that you're giving. Because, like, your love here feels really unconditional. And that unconditional love is beautiful. I think that, this world would be a much better place if people were able to be a little bit more empathetic and could love people unconditionally. But then on the flip side, it's almost so unconditional that it's put you in a position of getting hurt a lot, like over and over again kind of energy. And I think that with the Six of Swords in reverse and Knight of Swords in reverse is saying is you're very stuck on this, and not necessarily in terms of like you can't move on, like that's not necessarily what I'm saying, but just feeling like you maybe you can't move on because there's such a contrast between the good and the bad. So like when things are feeling really good, you're feeling good because things feel, you're like, they're hopeful. It brings you back to all of the good feelings associated with the connection. But, and as I mentioned in the very beginning, it's like things can be equally as bad. And it's like, there's so much love that you feel, but there's also so much pain here. And that pain, I feel like, is it can be unbearable sometimes. And I think that that's what you're wanting to change. And I don't know where it's coming from. Obviously, I'm really only seeing how your energy is affected by theirs, and not necessarily, when I start to see how their energy is affected by yours, then I'll get more of the full picture, which we'll get to in a second. But I feel like there's a lot of like putting up with, I don't know, like mistreatment or lack of being valued or something here for the sake of the good times. And like what I mean by that is because things are so inconsistent, it's like you're holding on through so much bad because there are times where things are really good, but those really good times are fleeting. And I feel like it's hard for you to, like move on or get out of this or whatever the case might be, because those good times probably feel better than you've ever felt before because of how intense and how explosive this connection feels. I feel like it's both felt the best and the worst that you've ever had in a sense. And maybe it doesn't need to be that extreme, but that's kind of what's coming through. And I feel like with the Knight of Swords in reverse, there's really this energy of like waiting, or I guess like waiting, or I don't know what word am I missing? Staying out of hopes that things start to be balanced and more reciprocated. More of the good, less of the not so good. And I don't blame you by any means, especially with how intense that this is. But I do feel like there is something very, like I said, spiritual or karmic about this connection and what it is trying to show you or teach you or lead you to in some way. So I don't know what you've got going on here, but I do and can tell that it has been rough. I do feel like it has been rough, but not all the time, right? There's those moments where things feel good and hopeful. So again, I'm reading obviously your reaction to their energy. So let's look at their response, their reaction to your energy, how their energy is affected by yours. This person's energy toward Aries. Because I want to know what they're holding back. Because they have this dream come true energy, so they feel those high highs just as much as you do. King of Wands. You could be dealing with fire sign. This could also be your energy. Again, both of your energies feel very similar. Like there's a lot of mirroring and triggering like each other because of that mirroring that I feel. So it's actually kind of been difficult to understand exactly what, like to make sense of the individual messages. Okay, 7 of Pentacles in reverse with the Empress, the 6 of Swords. So I feel like this person is very, very passionate, very, like, intense. They're very intense. It's the best that I can describe it as. Let me see here. What else we've got? The 3 of Pentacles, the Fool in reverse. Sun in reverse back here. Very, very wishy-washy kind of energy. So they see you as this Empress. Someone who is, this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be female, but just someone who is very caring and kind of similar to that King of Cups energy. Like emotionally intelligent and compassionate. And I feel like they really value a lot of what you bring to the table. Oh no. A lot of what you bring to the table in this connection, but with the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, it feels like there's also kind of this, because that can be like a struggle with commitment, like struggling to show up or struggling to stay loyal or whatever the case is, especially if there is like infidelity or something like that. I am not saying there is. If there is, you know about it, okay? But, you know, regardless of the things that they, regardless of whatever the story is for you individually, it stems from this lack of commitment, like commitment issues. Now, it's interesting because this person's they have this really intense energy, but they can also be very cold, I feel. And I think that is where things get really hard for you, is when they kind of turn cold, because that's where you're feeling like, I mean, betrayed or abandoned or, whatever is the best word for you. Now, I feel like this person, actually, I want to get a little bit more on this Three of Pentacles and the Fool in reverse. I feel like this person, like I said, sees the value in this, sees the potential in this connection, but their behavior is, and the way they show up for it is not in alignment with what is, oh, there it is, the World, okay, and then the Three of Wands in reverse, is not in alignment with what is best for the potential of this connection to be reached. It's like, when someone kind of treats you poorly, or like say that you are dealing with someone who isn't loyal or who is cheated. It's like, but I really love and care about you. You're like, well, you fooled me, like, if you're going to do these things, right? So it's like, I'm not saying, like, they do love and care about you. Like, I do feel that, but their behavior goes very much against that a lot of times, especially when they turn cold or they're kind of get into that wishy-washy energy. This person's very, very in their head. I feel like they have a tendency to really overthink things, and that really gets in their way, because I feel like they struggle to open up and be vulnerable with this redacted card and this connection, because it's so intense in both kind of ways. I feel like it pushes this person to feel things like almost that they don't want to feel, or to have to handle uncomfortable emotions, and they aren't really capable or don't have the tools or the knowledge to be able to do that. So they react. And, when we're dealing with people who are very reactive, what that means is they're going to put themselves in a position to do whatever they need to do to not feel the things that they're feeling. So if they're feeling uncomfortable and they don't want to address those feelings, and not because you're doing anything, but because of the nature of this connection and how intense it is for both of you, if they struggle with vulnerability or intimacy, like, they're going to push that away. They're going to put up a wall. They're going to keep you out or keep distance in order to, stop themselves from having to face those things. And that keeps this cycle, or this connection, in a cycle, because they, I feel like there's this energy of like drawing you close and then pushing you away, then drawing you close and pushing you away. And that's the highs and the lows, is when they draw you close and this connection is like in a decent place, like it feels so good, it feels amazing, but then that sparks a lot of uncomfortable feelings for this person, especially if they have a past of like heartbreak or, things that they haven't really dealt with. They're going to project that on the connection. They're going to expect those things. So then they go into this like, oh my gosh, I don't like the way that I feel. I feel really out of control. This is pushing me to be vulnerable. I don't like this. Push it away. Create distance. Find that safety again. But then there's that desire for the connection, because it does feel so good. So they draw it back in. And you're over here with a whiplash, because you're trying to figure out what the hell, what kind of person they're going to be that day or whatever. And I think that is really putting you in an unfair position of having to like stick around during the times when they're distant and they're not, not showing up in the way that you deserve, because, waiting for them to come back around, because especially if the cycle has been going on for so long, you probably know, okay, they are going to come back around, or okay, they're going to, things are going to, they're going to apologize, or they're going to, whatever the case might be. But that push and pull, that dynamic is taking a toll on you in a lot of different ways. So I feel like you're wanting that to change, because you're wanting that consistency, right? And I said it from the beginning. I said I felt like the highs and lows, it was like it was coming from like you were in your energy. It was more of a reaction, and their energy, it was more of the source. And I feel like what I mean by that is like they're the ones that are here and present and oh my gosh, things feel so good, but then they withdraw that energy. And so that's the source of the highs and lows, and you're kind of just along for the ride, which I feel like, again, puts you in a really unfair position in all of this, because you know what this feels like when things are good, but then you're also left to deal with how it feels when things are not so good and this person turns cold or pushes you away or keeps this at a distance or whatever the case might be. So it's not that they don't value you. I don't think that they're like using you. I don't think that they mean to do the things that they do. However, that's not an excuse for behavior. I think that empathy and understanding other people can help us tremendously on our own journeys, because it can teach us not to take their behavior so personally, but to understand it's more of a reflection of where they're at. But that also doesn't mean that we tolerate it. Having empathy for where other people are at can help us understand them, sure, but it doesn't mean that we empathize to the point of over tolerating, because at that point it becomes toxic empathy whenever there's, when we're empathizing to the point of self-abandonment. So I feel like it's really complicated, because yes, there are times where things feel really good, but this is not a cycle that I feel like can continue for you, because it's starting to take a toll on you. I mean, it's painful. And I feel like it has been for quite some time. So I do feel like, some of the things that I always recommend, boundaries, making sure that you are protecting yourself and your value and your worth, and, standing up for yourself too can be incredibly important. And the most important thing is not over prioritizing a future or an idea that we have of a future, or an idea that we have of a person over our current mental and emotional needs, because that can always get us in a trap of, being miserable for the sake of, well, maybe things will be better, tomorrow. They say that they're going to change this time, or that things are going to be different, but then ending right back up and, right back in the same cycle. So remember, there is something very karmic going on here. And I feel like taking a look at the cycle can really help you break it, so that you can, again, protect yourself from getting hurt, but also, either, I feel like create space for the love that you are truly deserving of, whether it is this person or not. So between this connection, you have euphoria with synchronicity. I'm going to hop on over to the extended. We're going to dive deeper into these messages, looking at the deeper purpose and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Thank you so much, Aries, as always, for your support of my channel. Again, I do hope that this helped, and I wish you guys absolutely nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Aries.